Welcome to week 1 of the Knotty Quilt Along. So for those of you that don't know, we just launched our Knotty Quilt on December 1st. It looks like this. And every year, as a Mojave Farms tradition, we always do a quilt along starting New Year's Day. And that's today. If you've bought one of our patterns, guess what? We found a mistake. Do this instead, and if you want a replacement pattern, just email us at the website. We're happy to send it to you. So if you want to join us, head on over to the website. There's still time to sign up. Halfway down the homepage, you'll see the sign up spot, and we will send out weekly emails telling you exactly what you need to do for that week. Now, quilt-alongs are a really great way to meet new friends, to build your quilting community. We all use these hashtags right here, and that way we can search those hashtags and we can be inspired by other people's fabrics and how they sew. We can meet new people, make lots of friends. So once you sign up, go purchase your pattern. We have it in both paper and PDF download. PDF, you get it immediately. You can start right now. Paper, we're going to send it to you and it'll be to you in just a couple of days. But let's get into it. So starting week 1, here's what we're going to do. Grab your pattern, read it front to back. You want to know exactly what's going on. Whenever you get a new pattern, you always want to read it front to back before you start anything. Sometimes just by knowing the steps that you're going to be doing, it can help you before you make a mistake in cutting or piecing or anything like that. Now, week 1 is all about the fabric. So in order to do the Knotty Quilt, you need a total of 5 fabrics. You're going to need something for the background. That's that white color there. And then you need 4 coordinating colors for each of the knots. This is basically a woven star block. And you'll want the colors to coordinate, but also have enough variation between them so that they stand out from each other. And that way you can clearly see the woven star block. If you need some ideas for colorways, you can check out the last page of your pattern. We always put in some extra examples here. So here's one for Christmas. Here's one that's kind of scrappy. We have some dark backgrounds, light backgrounds. I'm going to be doing this one right here. My tester quilt was these colors right here, and that's that picture that I showed you earlier. So week 1 is all about prepping your fabric and cutting your fabric and making sure it's all labeled correctly so that next week we can go ahead and start sewing. So last night I got all of my fabric prepped, it's ironed and ready to go. Now for the Knotty Quilt, there is a lot of labeling of your fabrics that you need to do so that you don't get them confused when we start piecing together. All of our patterns include this color swatch guide, so you can put a little piece of your fabrics on there and don't get confused. But also, as you're cutting your fabric, you want to make sure that you label your pieces correctly. One of the things that I like to use is this labeling tape that I got from rosecityoriginals.com. My friend Chris came up with this, and it is a godsend. But everybody has their own process. So if you want to use baggies or pins or clips or Post-its or whatever, it's up to you. Just make sure that everything is labeled very carefully. So if your fabric is ready, let's head out to the quilting loft and let's do our cutting. Now, if you're new to quilting, one of the terms that you might not know about is WOF, and that is your width of fabric. So when you go to the store and you buy something off the bolt, maybe you get a yard of something, that will be 36 inches of length. The width of fabric is what you get if you were to open that all up, and it's how wide is the fabric. So for instance, this is the length of your fabric. This is how it came off the bolt. But this is the width of the fabric. See how you open it up? So you're going from the selvage to the fold, and that is your width of fabric. So let's say, for instance, you had to cut maybe 8 inches of width of fabric. You would square up your edges, and then you would go over 8, and then you would cut that 8 inches off of your width of fabric. If you're cutting something smaller, like maybe 3 inches, you would do it like this, where you measure over 3 inches and line it up on your ruler, make sure it's square down here, and then you would cut your 3 inches off of there. So the way that all of our patterns go, it'll say cut X amount of width of fabrics and then subcut that into maybe 8-inch squares. Subcut just basically means you're gonna take that strip that you cut that's width of fabric, turn it sideways, and you're gonna subcut it into the pieces that you need. So for instance, I needed 2 strips that were 6 inches by width of fabric. I've stacked them on top of each other, so both of my width of fabrics are together. And then I can cut my 6-inch squares out of that. So that is subcutting. And then when you're done with that one, you can just check it off. And then we label it. So I'm gonna say this is color B, and these are my 6x6. So I've kind of set my fabrics out in a way that it will look on my quilt block. So if you check out page 9, you'll see kind of a layout, and that's kind of how I want it to go together. And then this is gonna be my dark background fabric, so that'll be A. So I've kind of labeled them all, and I am ready to go for week 2.